Outbreaks of dangerous diseases such as the Ebola virus, bird flu, and other infectious pandemics from all over the world cause enormous concern and shock among people and countries. These epidemics, which cross international boundaries and affect a large number of people, if not dealt with swiftly, can be cause of death for hundreds of thousands of people, especially in this day and age where travel is made easy and millions of people are crossing borders every day. This alone can be a catalyst for local epidemics to become a global outbreak through the movement of people from one place to another while coming in contact with thousands of people from every corner of the world. And the world has seen several of these epidemics that have contributed to deaths of millions. These large-scale outbreaks of infectious diseases affecting a whole geographic area do not only impact the health of societies in these countries, but also disrupt the economic, social, and political systems with lasting effects, especially for poor countries. The massive loss of lives and economic shocks that follow these pandemics are too much to bear for these countries that already have shaky economy. Many reasons are given to the ever-increasing difficulty in treating these diseases, main one being the global rise of antibiotic resistance. This will make it more difficult to cure people infected with these diseases. There have been so many of these pandemics in the past, killing millions, and here we'll see 10 of the deadliest pandemics the world has seen. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos that we upload every single day. Yellow fever. Like malaria, yellow fever is spread from one person to another through infected mosquitoes. The first recorded yellow fever outbreak occurred in the late 17th century. This disease is responsible for taking millions of lives and wiping out entire villages during that time, and was given names such as yellow jack and the saffron scourge in those days. But this disease still persists in areas of Africa and South America, which World Health Organization estimates some 30,000 people die each year in these regions. And surprisingly, the disease has never crossed to tropical Asia despite heavy travel to the region, causing scientists to speculate that other flaviviruses endemic in Asia may have stimulated some level of immunity to the yellow fever virus. Unlike other infectious diseases that are less severe, this one can cause serious internal bleeding and liver failure, which is marked by the yellowing of the skin. Headache, rapid rising fever, and nausea are also the symptoms of this deadly disease. And if treatment is not started straight away, death may occur in 6 to 7 days. Epidemic typhus, also known as camp fever or jail fever, is a disease caused by tiny microbes of bodily lice and fleas, and is responsible for 3 million deaths in just 2 years between 1918 and 1922. And many more casualties throughout the years, which sometimes were up to 60% of the patients. This disease spread easily in close, cramped quarters and poverty-stricken areas, and symptoms include sudden onset headache, chills, fever, and nausea. And when left untreated, high fever leading to heat exhaustion, and other complications end up in patients' organs failure and coma. The cardiac failure as a result of this may cause immediate death. This deadly epidemic, which spread throughout Europe during the 30-year war, is responsible for the death of 10 million people. AIDS. AIDS is the most advanced stage of the HIV infection, spread through certain bodily fluids that attack the body's immune system. AIDS is responsible for the deaths of an estimated 36 million people from all over the world. This disease spread widely throughout the world in the 1980s. Many people lost their lives in those days because the disease was relatively new and the advanced treatments that we have now didn't exist then. And even though there is still no cure for the disease, even in the advanced stage of the infection, medications like highly active antiretroviral therapy treatments have been able to extend the lives of patients by 4 to 12 years. But without treatment, people who progress to AIDS from being an HIV carrier only survive 3 years. These opportunistic infections take advantage of the very weak immune system by attacking specifically the CD4 cells, often called T cells, and leaving the body defenseless and incapable of fighting off infections and diseases. Cholera. This infectious disease, causing severe watery diarrhea leading to dehydration, has claimed the lives of 40 million people all over the world. This disease, common in India for centuries and spread to the rest of the world, is an acute diarrheal illness caused by infection of the intestine through contaminated water and food. Cholera causes flu-like symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, cramping, and if not treated with excessive hydration, it can lead to shock and death in a matter of hours. This disease occurs naturally in coastal waters, and the cholera bacteria can lie dormant in water for long periods. War-stricken areas and places where other natural disasters take place almost always experience cholera epidemic breakout because of the public health breakdown and poor healthcare system, in addition to these places becoming hostile for health providers. Influenza. A respiratory disease caused by a virus and a highly contagious illness has taken the lives of 50 million people. This disease is spread easy by coughs and sneezes of an infected person. The symptoms can be mild to severe, which include high fever, runny nose, headache, and sore throat. But the more serious infections can lead to complications such as pneumonia, bronchitis, heart problems, and ear infections, which can lead to death if not treated well. The fact that millions died in the past of this respiratory disease could be the lack of knowledge to simple preventative methods. Nowadays, there are effective treatments that can reduce the duration of suffering caused by this disease. But proper care and treatment is a must, especially for children and the elderly, before the symptoms turn to severe health issues. Measles. A childhood infection caused by a virus that is especially fatal to small children has in the past taken the lives of 200 million people worldwide. This disease will show tiny white spots inside the mouth, followed by fever, dry cough, runny nose, inflamed eyes, and a skin rash made up of large, flat blotches that flow into one another. Measles, being one of the most infectious diseases, can be spread among people very easily. A person can cough in a room and leave, and anyone unvaccinated could catch the virus right away. This vaccine has probably saved the lives of millions who wouldn't have made it otherwise. We can guess the level of damage that was prevented by simply looking at the stats of past records and how highly contagious this disease was. And even though the threat is greatly reduced, outbreaks of the disease are observed here and there around the world from time to time. Black Death. As its name indicates, the Black Death, also known as Black Plague, was a devastating global epidemic that struck Europe and Asia, killing 240 million people. This horrifying disease is believed to have cut populations in half throughout parts of the affected European and Asian countries. At that time, no one knew how this Black Death was transmitted from one patient to another, and no one knew how to prevent it or treat it. The doctors at the time were using crude and unsophisticated techniques, which obviously didn't do much for the infected people. But symptoms were recorded and included swollen lymph glands, fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing, which in most cases led to immediate death. Smallpox. This is an infectious disease of the past that no more exists and was completely eradicated in 1980. With the last case diagnosed in 1977, it is believed to have killed a staggering 500 million people. This disease, dating back to the 16th century, was able to ravage entire populations with many outbreaks throughout Europe and the Americas. People infected with the disease experienced body aches, fever, and a distinctive progressive skin rash, and an estimated 400,000 Europeans lost their lives every year to this disease. And only a vaccine was able to control the spread, even though it took a very long time before the epidemic came to an end and is now history. Tuberculosis. TB is a serious infectious disease that affects the lungs and possibly spread to other organs in the body and can be fatal without proper care for the patient. This disease dates back thousands of years, as traces of the infection were reportedly found on the DNAs of ancient Egyptian mummies, and has killed over 1 billion people. TB, one of the top causes of death worldwide, in 2017 alone, 10 million people fell ill with TB, of which 1.6 million lost their lives. But even though the disease still caused a substantial number of mortalities, a lot of progress was made, and the global death rate has fallen by almost half since 1990. Malaria. A life-threatening infection by a mosquito-borne disease caused by a parasite, and still stands as the largest surviving threat to humans as far as deadly illnesses are concerned. Records of this deadly disease dates back thousands of years and stays a threat in the 21st century, as cases are still being recorded in great numbers. This disease is believed to be the cause of billions of deaths for centuries across the world. Even though less and less people die of this disease nowadays, up to 500 million cases of malaria are diagnosed every year, making it the most dangerous fatal disease we have on our list. Well, the impact of this disease is enormous, from the increasing toll of productivity to reduced profitability, and the long-lasting effects of this crisis on population, especially of third world countries, is devastating. And more needs to be done by their governments to at least reduce the level of destruction and deaths resulting from this disease. You can share your ideas and concerns about this issue that obviously affects every single person on Earth on the comment section below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell button to be notified for our daily content. And thanks for watching. How I like it, Dolce, Dolce, Gabbana, Gabbana.